Wolf, CNN has obtained a copy of Facebook's written testimony. This is the testimony that they will present to lawmakers in a series of public hearings this week. It includes a very significant detail. Content generated by the Russian troll farm known as the Internet Research Agency that was seeking to meddle in American politics through social media. That content was served to 126 million Facebook users in the United States, according to Facebook estimates. That is more than half the total U.S. voting population. That is a significant number. Now, of course, one ad, one story promoted or created and generated into somebody's timeline doesn't necessarily mean that they saw it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it influenced the way that they voted in the 2016 campaign or the way they felt about American politics. But that is an extraordinary number, and it is so much higher, Wolf, than the reach that Facebook had previously disclosed. You'll remember Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg initially said it was crazy to think that Russian meddling had any influence in the 2016 election. Then they said ads bought by the Internet Research Agency may have reached more than 10 million voters. We're now looking at a number of 126 million Americans who may have been exposed to content generated by this troll farm, which is backed by the Kremlin.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Dylan Byers, thanks very much for that. Phil Mudd, what does that say to you when you hear those kinds of numbers and the success of this Russian troll farm?
I can't overestimate the significance of this. Let me tell you why. The Congress of the United States is focused on questions like, what did Trump advisors do? What's happening now in terms of these revelations about Facebook have to twist government on its head. When we go forward 2 years, the question Congress should be asking is, how do we ensure that the U.S. intelligence community, which is going to be very nervous about cooperating with a bunch of techies out in Silicon Valley, is passing information about Russian activities on the Internet so Facebook real-time, I'm not talking about 30 days, I'm talking about real-time, can take stuff off the Internet. What I'm saying, Wolf, is we need a war room where the National Security Agency and the CIA and the FBI are together with Facebook, giving that Facebook top-secret information to react to. The government just doesn't work that way today. They got to get this stuff off the Internet.
But, Jeffrey, it does raise all sorts of legal questions, right?
Oh, you know, this is a real brave new world. And, you know, we often talk about media bias and, you know, what does Fox do? What does MSNBC do? The real news source for so many Americans is their Facebook feed. And there is almost no quality control into what goes into Facebook feed. Facebook doesn't tell us what the algorithm is that chooses what stories we get. They don't tell us. Now, they say they are going to start telling us is like who's paying for everything that people see in their Facebook feed. So it goes to the whole idea of how voters are persuaded of their views now. And, you know, Facebook is making a very slow and very cautious start, but they have a big responsibility for how American politics works now, and they really haven't stepped up so
Congressional hearings later this week.
Sure, and I think, you know, with this Facebook news that Dylan is reporting, we get a sense of the enormity of what the Russians were trying to do here. Not only were they trying to infiltrate the campaign, and we'll see if it was done successfully or not successfully, but through social media, of course. So they were pulling every strand they possibly could to try and figure out a way to influence this election, including going to very senior advisors in Donald Trump's campaign.